Hey y'all, it's Stacy. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a fluffy, delicious biscuit. This is my recipe for Cathead Biscuits. Now, if you've ever been intimidated by the biscuit process, this is going to make it a little bit easier. Now, I've got 4 cups of self-rising white lily flour in my bowl here. Now, I measure that using the spoon and level method. So I have it in a big container like this. I scoop it into a dry measuring cup, level it off, and then add it to my bowl. This is about a half a cup of cold, unsalted butter that I've cubed up just to give us a little bit of a head start. I'm gonna use a pastry blender just to cut this butter into the flour. Now, people, for whatever reason, are a little intimidated when they see a recipe that calls for you to cut butter into flour. All we're doing is chopping it up into tiny little pieces. We want these pieces of butter to be about the size of a pea. And the reason that we do this, the reason that we use cold butter, is we want that butter to maintain its shape so that when it melts in the oven, when it gets exposed to that hot temperature, it leaves all these little pockets, making our biscuits light and fluffy. So using a pastry blender like this is essentially like using 4 little knives that just cuts them all up into those tiny little pieces. Once we've got that done, I've got about 2 cups of whole buttermilk. And having the right ratio of liquid to fat to flour is important. So that's why I specify that we use whole buttermilk here. Then I'm just gonna stir this together. We want this to be a pretty wet, sticky dough because the wetter that this is, the more tender your biscuits are gonna be, the fluffier, the lighter they're going to be also. I've got a 12-inch skillet here. I like to use cast iron, but if you have a 12-inch metal cake pan, you can use that as well. I'm just stirring this just enough to get everything stuck together, essentially. There's not a specific consistency that we're looking for because what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our hands to form these biscuits. Once we've got that done, I'm gonna kind of pat this out a little bit so that I can kind of eye about 8 biscuits. We wanna try to get 8 out of this mixture here. I'm gonna put a little flour on my hands, and then I'm just gonna scoop this out and form it into a circle shape. Again, don't overthink it. We're just getting this in the pan here. A little more flour, because it is pretty sticky. And you see, I'm just kind of working this into the shape in my hands. We're gonna work through and create about 8 of these. Now, once we got all of those in there and rinsed our hands, I'm just gonna brush the tops of these with a little melted butter just to help them brown up a little bit. I've got my oven preheated to 450 degrees. These are gonna go in the oven for about 30 minutes. Depending on the pan that you use, whether you use cast iron or another metal baking pan, your cook time will vary just a little bit. But these are gonna go in. We're just watching for that nice golden brown color. I find that 30 minutes in cast iron really is about where you wanna be with that. This is the color you're looking for. You wanna serve these while they're nice and warm with honey, jam, some Yellow Label syrup. Folks, it's an easy way to get delicious biscuits on the table. You can get this full recipe by heading over to the website at southernbite.com and just visit the Simply Southern TV tab. Y'all enjoy.
Now, I just want to ensure all of our feline friends and parents watching that no cats were harmed in the making of these biscuits.
That's right. When you're visiting Stacy's website at southernbite.com to find the recipe for Cathead Biscuits, Stacy has noted that the name comes from the size of the biscuit, which is as big as a cat's head.
That's right.
So come hungry.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today for this episode of Simply Southern. Hope you'll join us again next week when we'll visit with a farmer who's building an internet following, sharing Alabama agriculture around the world.
And we'll join a group of high school students on a tour of farms in North Alabama as they discover all of the career paths in agriculture that may not lead directly to the farm itself. I'm Mary Wilson.
And I'm Kevin Worthington. We hope to see you again next week.
Simply Southern is produced by the Alabama Farmers Federation and made possible with the support of these sponsors.